Cal Banyan here, Cal Banyan's Hypnosis, etc. If you're watching this video anywhere except calbanyan.com, you want to go to calbanyan.com right now, because right below this video, underneath the video, is extra content, text, links, and graphics that just make this a whole lot more worthwhile. Hey, this is the last one of 4 in a row with Meredith until she comes back again. And let's see, who is Meredith? Well, if you've been watching this for any period of time, you would know that Meredith is my co-host. She is a great hypnotist. I hope she becomes a trainer one day. I'd like to see her certifying new hypnotists. I think she should be the go fly around the world trainer. She could be going to Paris. She could be going to Australia, Hong Kong, South America, South Africa, the safari hypnotist, because she could do it, because she is a 1%er. If you can do hypnosis in LA, you can do hypnosis anywhere. She has a master's degree in psychology. She is a true 1%er. She has a background in talk therapy, but she's switched over 100% to being a 1% hypnotherapist. How you doing, Celeste? Meredith. Oh, I knew I'd do that.
You are so lucky that I love Celeste so much that I consider that to be a huge compliment. I am doing
once in a while.
great.
At least I didn't call you out wrong.
It's true. Then I'd be really concerned.
That's right.
Meredith is doing great. And I want to make sure you guys all know who Cal is. Cal was my trainer. He does train the top 1% of the profession. He is the one that brought us 5 Paths, 7th Path Self-Hypnosis, author of many books, many articles. He's the reason that we do this free training series week in and week out. There are hundreds and hundreds of these free training videos because Cal believes we're all in this together. Like me, he has a master's degree in psychology, and he sees clients still for those very lucky people who get to be his client out of the Banyan Hypnosis Center in Tustin, California. Thank you, Cal.
Wow, thank you very much. You know, one thing, as we've been introducing ourselves back and forth, you hear, oh, Meredith has a master's degree, oh, Cal has a master's degree. I want you to remind you that you do not have to have a degree to learn this profession and to be great at it. Well, actually you do. You need to have an LE. You don't need to have an MA, BS, whatever, MA. You need an LE. Tell them what LE stands for.
An LE? I have no idea. I've never heard this before.
You need a degree in life experience. Okay. You need to have lived life. You need to have been successful at something. Because if you can be successful at one thing, you can be successful at this. I remember I had a fellow in class, he came up to me and go, Cal, is it really possible, to get anywhere in this profession and be successful? And I'm looking at him. I'm right there. I'm successful. We have many grads who are very successful. And I said, have you ever been successful at anything? And he says, well, yeah, business and da-da-da. I said, then you can do this. You just have to apply the same kind of effort and investment into this as you did in other things that you've been successful with. And, with the right training and background, you can be successful and have a very decent hypnosis practice, make a very good professional living. Isn't that right?
Absolutely true. Yeah, I really don't believe that the vast majority of my clients come to me because I have a master's degree. It, in rare cases, may help someone to feel a little more comfortable, which is funny because I really don't use anything at all that I learned in my master's program in doing the work that I do now. So there really is nothing about my master's degree that makes me better at this. So completely unnecessary, but the vast majority of clients don't care about that. They just want a solution that works. They want something different because all the other stuff that they've tried hasn't worked for them. And they're willing, obviously, to put themselves out there one more time, to try one more thing, to have some change. And they're willing to go to the alternative. And master's degree is not required for that.
Absolutely. What do you think is required?
I think what is required is an absolute dedication to being the best at whatever it is that you're learning. So whether you're a five-pather, whether you've got some other kind of technique, I think that as long as you throw yourself in completely and you wrap your head around it and you keep working at being the best of the best of the best that you can be, always working to improve yourself, then you're exactly where you need to be.
Oh, you're giving me goosebumps. I love it when you talk like that. All right, real quick, as talking about being the best of the best, doing what it takes to be successful. If you're already a hypnotherapist, you're already a hypnotist, you're already certified, you have the basics, then come to our Week of Power. The Week of Power is where I'm going to make sure you have good, strong basics. I spend about a day on that. Then we're going to talk about 5-path and 7-path, learning some of the most powerful techniques available to the hypnotist. And so 5-path, 7-path, age regression, forgiveness work, parts mediation, all that kind of stuff. And it is the Week of Power, April 28th to May 5th. And then we've also got a 10-day certification course coming up. The NGH approved Banyan Hypnosis Certification Super Course for Hypnosis and Hypnotherapy with also 5-path and 7-path. And that starts on July 15th and goes through July 26th. Oh, let me go into something else real quick. Get all this housekeeping out of the way. Let's see here. Time to talk about our Hypno mugs. No, not that mug. This mug. And we've had some winners. Tony McKenzie, Byron Rodriguez, Lisa Bowen, and now, drum roll please, Eugene Ahn, A-H-N, A-H-N, Eugene Ahn, you have a mug, a Hypno Cup coming towards you. All you got to do is contact our office. You can email me at calbanyan@hypnosiscenter.com, or you can just pick up the phone and call our 800 number, which is right here on this website under Contact Us. So happy to be doing that. All right, that's it. What you got for me?
All right, so today we have something that was submitted by a fellow 5-pather, and so we're going to kind of dig into this subject a little bit. It's one that maybe a lot of people don't talk about for various reasons, but it's important to kind of to take it on. So this 5-pather writes, and I'm just not going to use her name because I just don't know for sure that she wants it shared. But she writes, what is it that makes some people access 5-path better than others? Or I think what she's saying is have success with 5-path better than others. And how can we help people who don't access the techniques as readily? And what she means by this is that in her practice, she says that she's had lots of clients who really get the inner child work and the forgiveness work that's involved in in the 5-path process. And many of you who do other kinds of modalities also integrate regression work and some sort of informing work or some sort of forgiveness into your process. So this is just as applicable to you. And she finds that she's kind of analyzing the people who kind of get it more than others, and she's decided in her practice that it's typically women, and often these women have done a lot of self-work or psychotherapy and are so amazed at what they can get to with the 5-path. But then there are others who, maybe only about 10% of her practice who really struggle in age regression and forgiveness work, seemingly because they're so shut off or defended from their feelings and often even their thoughts, and they kind of get confused and they may be resistant to different parts of the process. So she's curious about maybe what it is that can be done. Why is it, first of all, that some people just that don't have that success, and maybe what is it that can be done to help them to have it?
Oh boy, you know what? Thankfully, I received this question myself, and then I responded to it, and I just came up with like 10 things off the top of my head that I thought would really help her. Before we get into this, now you out there, you the professional hypnotist, hypnotherapist, consulting hypnotist, whatever you call yourself, if you are really up on your game and you really know what you're doing and you are having success, Do not beat yourself up if you are in the 90 percentile. I want you to remember who your clientele is. Your clientele are the ones that have tried everything else. They've tried the self-help book. They've tried perhaps counseling, perhaps talking to their minister or priest or rabbi or whatever it is about the problem. And I just want you to remember something. I have a name for this special category of people, and I use it very respectfully in our classes. And that is mainly we work with the creme de la crap. And I mean, it's the people that have the crappy problem that nobody else has been able to fix. So I mean, it's considering who most of our clientele is, the tough, most resistant issues. The people who've tried and tried and tried and tried everything to quit smoking, who've tried and tried and tried everything they can to lose weight, or to overcome their fear, or to overcome their procrastination, or a bad habit, or whatever it is to improve their golf game, or whatever it is. They've tried everything else before they come to see you. So the fact that you have any results at all on average is amazing. And if you're finding that you're doing 90%, that's so great. I want you to just pat yourself on the back. I'm patting you on the back. There we go, pat, 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 pat. Because I really admire what you've gone through to get to this level in the profession. All right, so here are some things I want to go through. It's a lot. So I'm just going to fire away. I'll give Meredith a chance to add anything she wants to add after each one. Okay, let's see, she's on guard now. Not like last video. Okay. Okay, just having some fun there. Okay, number one, remember that our best clients, well actually not even our best clients, the clients that we can work with on average need to be of at least normal intelligence. And normal intelligence is not something that our entire population has. If you've ever studied IQ ratings, and 100 is like average. And there's a whole lot of people that are smarter than 100, and there's still a whole lot of people that aren't. And you start getting into people who just are not very smart. Then you start getting into using age regression and parts work and forgiveness work, and it's just going to go over their head. And so that's one thing, is smartness. If I find someone is just not that smart, and I have to admit, I've only ever rejected 2 people that I thought just were not smart enough. And probably if I were to do them again today, because you live and you learn, I would probably continue to work with them. I would just have to be honest with myself. I wouldn't tell them, I don't think you're smart enough for all these powerful techniques. We're just going to do direct suggestion work. And that's what I would do. I would do direct suggestion work only. If they can follow it, I would do visualization, or I would do what we call age progression work. Right? Have them, if they can't actually follow the idea of going into the future and pre-vivifying an event, then I would just have them talk about, in hypnosis, talk about what it would be like if that had happened, as if the change had happened. And of course, this is one of the things that you're going to pick up as you're in the profession longer, is how to adapt the techniques you have to your clients. Anything you want to add with regard to smartness of the client, Meredith?
Well, not exactly to that, but I still enjoy starting out, depending on how much time I have in the first session, I still enjoy starting out my first session, instead of jumping right into age regression, doing something like the High Road to Success Universal Script, and especially with someone that I suspect may be a little more challenged for some reason, whether they're potentially under-intelligent or over-intelligent, kind of over-cognitive. starting out a little softer and building up the confidence and showing them some results and motivating them more so that we can see if it will play out more for them. And usually if you take them through something lighter, you can get more information from which to work with. So there's a lot of ways, using the progression, using something like the High Road of Success, which does integrate some progression into it naturally, that you can kind of still get somewhere and see before you dig into the deeper stuff, whether you're dealing with an intelligence issue or whether it's something else that we'll be getting into further. Right, Cal?
Beautiful. I will put a link to the universal script, also called the High Road, Low Road script, so that you'll have access to it right down there. All right, number 2, some clients are not as insightful, and we have to make these insights more obvious. So, and there's a difference between, you can have very smart people who just aren't very insightful. And so like in the olden days of age regression, they would just regress people to an event, and a lot of the really insightful people go, oh, I get it. Now I know why I have this issue. But now we understand that we need to not rely strictly on insight. We want to take them before the event and do the informed child work, where we have the grown-up aspect of the regressed client with the help and coaching of the hypnotist. Apply the insight that grown-up might have for the child so that they can see things differently and overcome the problem. So you need to be able to adapt to taking on the ability to better explain the insights that can be gained by the insight work. And age regression is insight work, and also so is parts work. So is parts mediation, and so is the forgiveness work that we do that's like the Gestalt work. Anything you want to add to that real quick? I've got 10 things I got to get through.
I know a lot for one podcast. I mean, really, if you walk into a room, you're going to notice certain things, and while the other people you walk in with are going to notice other things. And so sometimes it's not so much about, they may or may not be insightful, but they may also be looking at or paying attention to other things. And so that's why we get paid the big bucks, right? Is to make the connections and show them the things and bring up the topics and urge, for instance, in the informed child technique, urging the grown-up to kind of say certain things to the child. We have to guide that. We're their guide, and the things that they might not normally come up with on their own because their mind is elsewhere, or they have a habit of focus or a habit of thinking that's somewhere else. And so that's why we're there, to kind of guide that process. But sometimes we may be kind of leaving it up to them a little too much, and we do need to kind of step in too much. It's always about balance. We don't want to do all the work for them, but some clients we have to do more of the work than for others, right?
Perfect. Number 3 on my list. Since we do not work on secondary gain until phase 5 of 5-path, secondary gain may be working against us from the very beginning. Sometimes secondary gain, I've talked about this many times in these podcasts, it means there's some benefit into holding on to the problem. And with these people, you've got to go through the phase 1, 2, 3, 4. The preparation testing is phase 1, age regression is phase 2, forgiveness of others phase 3, forgiveness of self, along with all the inside work that goes with these forgiveness phases, are phase 4, and then phase 5 is secondary gain, where we can work on these things. It does not pay off to work on secondary gain until we've done some work on the primary gain, the initial cause of the problem. So what you do is you get them all the way through it the very best you can, get to phase 5, determine if there is secondary gain, and if there is, then work on it. Then what you can do is, you're not done just because you've finished phase 4. You're not done with the client just because you finished phase 5. You're done when you're done. You have them come back next week. When they come back, if some of the things you wanted to work on earlier, like in the age regression or the forgiveness work, is starting to raise its head, you continue to do that phase 2, 3, and 4 work, which is, age regression, forgiveness of self, and forgiveness of others, and forgiveness of self accordingly. And you'll be able to do it at a deeper level now that you've ridded the client of the secondary gain. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, one of the things to kind of look back to, at least in the form that I use, that I got from the Banyan Hypnosis Center through the Business Startup Kit, is there is a question on the benefits form towards the bottom that says, if I get better, I stand to lose. And then there's a blank. And sometimes if I'm starting to wonder about that, I'll look back and see what they said there. And if they didn't really fill it out or they didn't really put anything down, I might even ask them that directly at a certain point and start to get a feel for whether that's something that's getting in the way, so that I'm aware of what might be kind of an obstacle.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Oh gosh, I could go on and on. We could turn these 10 into 3 podcasts. Let's see if we can move forward. They may have a mental illness or personality disorder that's preventing them from being successful. And if you've got people who are severely mentally ill, most of the times they're not going to wind up in your sessions. But people who have personality disorders or other not so profound mental illnesses, they can be very difficult to work with, and you really shouldn't be working with those people unless you have training to work with the mentally ill or personality disordered individuals, and at least be working under the supervision of someone who is trained to do that. And of course, always practice in a legal and ethical manner. Anything you want to add to that?
No, nothing to add to that one, Cal.
All right. Now, here's an interesting one. I've had a couple of these, and they were different causes. But if the individual has sustained a brain injury, either through trauma or through chemical abuse, I've had one person who had practiced huffing, that's breathing inhalants, aerosol inhalants and things like that, and their brain was just too damaged to work with. Another one who had done too much drug abuse, and they were just dull and not sharp enough for me to work with. And one other person who was very interesting, they had had some brain trauma, surgery, and so I switched to teaching them self-hypnosis and doing direct suggestion work. And then later on, after we had done that, we were able to then move into doing the insight work. So don't give up on people so long as it looks like you can help them. Keep moving forward. But sometimes you just have to say, maybe hypnosis just isn't right for you. Anything you want to add to that, Meredith?
Yeah, you definitely have to know when to let a client go. It's, of course, excessive and abusive and really unethical to keep a client when you really feel you have nothing more to offer them. If you don't have some other supplemental way to work with them, and if they're resistant to the supplemental way you might have, then you definitely want to just let them go.
Beautiful. Let me kind of run through these kind of quick, and then I'll break to you, and you can add anything you want, because we got like about 2 minutes left, and I've got 5 to go through. So, negative transference can be a problem. If there's something about you, maybe it's you remind them of a wicked uncle, or your ethnicity, or there's something where they just can't like or trust you or go into that kind of partnership that's required to do hypnosis, then you're going to have some problems. In that case, and you'll know it, it's like everything you say, just they're skeptical or they're fearful, and you've really done a good job at the pre-talk or whatever. It's time to refer them out. Sometimes it can be as simple as you're the wrong gender for them to feel comfortable with. And maybe I always have female hypnotherapists that I know, like, and trust to do the work that I can refer people out to. And those female hypnotherapists can always refer, if that happens for them, to me. Another one is number 7, insufficient confidence in hypnosis, or you as a hypnosis professional, or their ability to benefit from hypnosis. And This is one of my Banyonisms is if something isn't working that should be working, that typically means that something that should have been done already before what you're doing now wasn't done effectively or efficiently or completely. And so if you haven't built up that confidence, it could be in the way you present yourself or the way you present your office or something where they just go, yeah, I don't know if this guy's qualified. So, and associated with that is number 8, where I talk about both of these, 7 and 8, it has to do with the pre-talk. You know, one of the main purposes of the pre-talk is to build confidence. The client needs to have confidence in you. They have to have confidence in hypnosis. They have to have confidence in themselves for the ability to utilize hypnosis. But also sometimes people come in with fears that are totally unrelated to your ability or the efficacy of hypnosis, such as I show a training video in class where I take a client through most of the phases of 5-path, and she comes in with this fear that if she allows herself to go into hypnosis, that the devil will get inside of her. And so this is just an irrational belief or an ill-informed belief, a fear, misconception about hypnosis. So you need to provide them with whatever information or experience they need to overcome that. If they're still harboring that fear, then they're just never really going to enter into that level of trust or that depth of hypnosis that you need to do the work with them. Here's a tough one. Talk about tough love. Number 9, they are not in enough pain. When you do insight work, like age regression, forgiveness work, the Gestalt style that I use, and also parts mediation work, you have to kind of get into their stuff. Maybe it's an embarrassing thing from the past, or they have to revisit an emotionally painful time in the past, or express things in a forgiveness process to someone that they've harbored anger with for so long, and they're just unwilling to fully engage in that. And they'll say, oh, I just don't get it. But usually when people don't get it, and they're smart enough, and they're not brain damaged, it means they won't get it, and that they have a fear that they're going to go in and re-experience the pain of the past. So within that case, if they're not in enough pain now from their problem, they'll be unwilling to experience the pain of the process that is there to free them from the problem. So if you find someone, for example, they say, oh, I just don't have any motivation to go find a job. And you find out that this person doesn't really need a job. They've got money coming in from this and money coming in from that, or their bills are being paid by so-and-so. Then going in and uncovering the insecurities or fears that they have, perhaps from childhood or anger problems that they have, they're just going to be unwilling to get it or to go there because it's so much more painful than just continuing to endure the problem that they came to see you about. And number 10, they may be afraid to go there because it would be embarrassing. This is one huge reason why, one of the reasons that you should not work with friends or family members with doing this kind of uncovering type work. And that is that the person, just in general, even if you're not related to them, if you don't know them, they don't want to go back to that embarrassing time and reveal, when maybe they, wet their pants in the 5th grade, or they were caught masturbating when they were 12 or 13 years old, or even to go to a time that was sad and cry in front of you, and they don't want to have those experiences, so they will resist the insight techniques. All right. Oh man, we're like almost 25 minutes into this thing. What would you like to add to that, Merida?
Yeah, well, a few things. In Los Angeles, especially being in West Los Angeles, there is a lot of money. And so I get a lot of those clients who really just want to kind of spruce themselves up a little. They don't have the leverage, they don't have the significant pain. They want to optimize themselves. And so sometimes I do experience that, what you talked about on number 9, that they are not actually in enough pain to go through the process. I'm okay with them kind of doing it in a softer way. Just because they aren't getting the huge ahas doesn't mean that they're not getting some ahas and some benefit from it, and benefit from those maybe lesser insights and the direct suggestion that comes after. So it doesn't always have to be so dramatic for your clients to get benefit out of it. So I just kind of go with it. But that does happen a lot where I am. And as far as people kind of being afraid to go there, one of the things that really helps with that is the building of rapport. And I know we've talked about that in many podcasts before, but it is so imperative. It's one of the reasons why, even though I am so busy, I do not hire someone to take my calls for me, because I want to have that one-on-one connection with my clients on the phone before I even get them in my office. I want them to hear my voice. I want them to hear that I care about them through the words that I say and my connection with them. And I make it very clear that, just kind of through the meta messages that I send, that there's nothing they could really tell me that would shock me. And that I'm very down to earth, I'm very open, I'm very understanding, and that it's a safe space for them to share. And usually when you create enough of a rapport, you don't have as much of those challenges with people being afraid of, sharing too much with you. Anything you want to add to that, Cal?
Just that I'm very grateful to have you on the podcast. Have another year ahead for us to do great things together.
Yes, me too. And yeah, I know that we kind of touched very quickly on a lot of very big, important subjects here. If you want to hear more extrapolation on some of these things that we brought up in this podcast, let us know. You can post it right down there on calbanyan.com, on our Hypnospace, the Ask Cal, on our Facebook page, Hypnosis, etc. You can email me, Meredith@YourPathHypnosis. Please do, and that's .com, by the way, and I'm sure they'll put that right down there too, so you can see that link. Please do ask further questions that come up from this, and ask for more detail if you want it. We want to create community. We want to make you the best hypnotist we possibly can, and support you in building your practice. This is Meredith Locker signing off.
All right, thank you, Meredith. Look forward to getting together again, and come back healthier next time so we can take you out to dinner afterwards. Maureen and I like to do that. And one quick thing. You folks out there, I know I'll recommend something. Go back to podcast number 1 and have the discipline of listening and watching to these podcasts maybe a couple times a week. Huge amount of information, and it'll keep you motivated, keep you on track. Another thing you can do is get the 5-Path 2.0 set on DVD. It's a recording of the 6-day version of the course. You can even get certified in 5-Path doing that. It's one of the best ways to, I tell you what, even the people that take the live course, they're here for 10 days or they're here for 7 days, they pick that up, they take the information home with them, and so you can even get certified in 5-Path by doing that after taking an exam. All right, that's it. We love you guys. Let's do 2013 together. Make it the best year ever. Cal Banyan, signing off.
This recording is the property of Cal Banyan and the Banyan Hypnosis Center for Training and Services, Incorporated. All rights reserved, for private use only, may not be duplicated without permission. For contact information, go to www.hypnosiscenter.com.